Okay, transition time. We have finished talking about teaching contractors uptime metrics and how to buy and so forth. And now we're going into another category of case studies. We're going to focus on a customer profitability ranking report or a whale curve. You'll notice that the bottom 1% of all the active customers are huge losers. They'll destroy about 20% or more sometimes the peak internal profit. So if 40% of the customers generate 150% of peak internal profits, then 50% of those profits have to be eaten away by the rest of the other 60% of the customers. But the minnows all take little bites, but at the bottom of the pile are these big sharks that just eat enormous amounts of profit. And I've got a number of case studies. In this first slide, this case index, the first category of customers I'm going to talk about are contractor cases. We'll look at a, a, a contractor who's selling, a contract supply company who's selling commercial job contractors who like build foundations with all sorts of cement and rebar and sealants and so forth. And one of the locations, their quote best account, had 2,800 transaction in one calendar year. I mean, that's over 10 a day. Now, they could have several different jobs going, but the record was they had 8 truck deliveries to one job site in one day's time. And but basically, we had a contractor who said, I don't want any inventory in the job site. And cell phones had become affordable, so he wanted to make sure all of his foremen had cell phones to empower them to get stuff whenever they needed. What he didn't anticipate was an unintended consequence, which is the guys forgot to plan. So they'd show up the first thing in the morning and get on their phones and start ordering stuff, as opposed to at the end of the day pooling all their needs and sending them in so all the needs could be out there and improve the uptime dramatically. The second one is part 2 of the plumbing contractor that we saw earlier, who had 8 vans or more. Who they all went to the counter every day and bought as needed, hand to mouth, and they were just buying zillions of little items, and what they needed in their truck was a custom spice rack. So we've done that. But next they said, well, instead of going to the counter, why don't they come in, give them a cup of coffee, and say, here's your first job, and a tote box of all the ingredients for the first job, and instead of going to the counter and killing an hour, go out there and bill an hour. So let's get we call it Operation Jumpstart, and you can see that there. Another contractor would call up and say, I want 5 items, but I want them each on a separate invoice because these 5 items happen to be for 5 different jobs, and I want paperwork to go in different folders to do job costing. So when the truck stopped, it would deliver 5 tickets or more. I mean, lots of tickets per stop of the truck. So it's a lot of paperwork costs. And what's the solution to that problem? A fourth case is a huge contractor who they called the King, who turned out to be a big cherry picker. And how was that problem solved? Actually, quite profitably. We'll stop here and we'll move on to the next couple. We have a couple slides of indexes just to sort of give you a preview of coming attractions. Then we'll dive deep into each one of these. So that ends the slide. Thank you.